My motivation for WISH was my own experiences and going through what I went through, being a divorced woman, a single parent of 3 kids, no money, suffering from depression. I didn't know where to turn. I mean, it was kind of like a gamble. Like, I was just hoping someone would come into my life that could tell me something, because mostly what I was coming up against was judgment. You know, I had lived this life and I was this person in my community at one time, and all of a sudden I lost everything. And so where do you turn? There's not one place that you can go to find information, to find resources, to be able to help yourself when you're going through these things. And everybody goes through crisis, adversity, or some kind of transition in their life. WISH is for everybody. Any person, any woman who has questions and wants to find answers, WISH is for her. I was brought up to think that the most important thing was to have a man, to have a big house, to raise your children, and then somehow it all worked out where you live happily ever after. For me, that wasn't the case. It was very dysfunctional, abusive at times. Like so many women, it wasn't just leaving the marriage, it was leaving my whole lifestyle, my whole life. And so someone said to me once, said, well, do you think maybe it's just the fantasy you're in love with and not him? And when she said that, something just, you know, it was that an aha moment or whatever. And I got it, and it was like, yeah, it was the fantasy. It was he and I could never create that fantasy together. But I was in love with that fantasy, that idea of what marriage could be. And then all of a sudden, after I'd been separated for about a year, I was hit with this feeling that, I mean, the only way I can describe it is it was like a black hole. And I could feel myself going in it, but there was no way I could swim out of it. It was like this spiral. And then finally I just kind of gave up and let it take me. And fortunately, I had a wonderful therapist in my life at the time, and she took it seriously. I was clinically depressed. I mean, she knew that this was serious. In fact, so serious that she called me every single day to make sure that I would live one more day. And I told her that I would. I was making a commitment to her. But the truth was, I was planning my death. It was this feeling that nothing mattered, only death. I was done. And I had a friend who also had suffered from depression like I was at one time in her life, and she would come over and just cry with me. I mean, that's the only thing that she could do. And just knowing that someone could empathize with me was amazing, because there's a stigma on depression. And some people would call me up and say, well, what do you have to be depressed about? But they had no idea that this was nothing I had control over. It took me, it was so powerful that it almost took my life. So about 3 weeks after taking the antidepressants, I think it was a week before my kids' spring break, the antidepressants started working, and the need to die diminished. And I started to move forward, and that's when, you know, I started to really get to know myself for the first time in my life, and really grow as a person and become that whole person instead of, you know, looking for my other half. I needed to find my half inside myself. And when I did that, things changed. And now I have a wonderful relationship with someone who is truly my partner, and it's a loving, respectful relationship. At 36 years old, I was standing at my kitchen counter and realized that I had absolutely no opinions about anything. So at that point, I started reading like crazy, just everything I could get my hands on. I read self-help books, I read novels, I read spiritual books, everything. When I was in high school, I wasn't really that person. My grade point average at the time of graduation was 1.7. The message I received from my teachers throughout my education was that I was lazy and a daydreamer. So going back to school for me at the age of 42 was understandably terrifying. I really thought I couldn't learn academics. When I was in school, I had a wonderful mentor, my advisor, who every time I went to her and I said, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this, she'd say, yes, you can. We'll figure it out. We'll find a solution for you. So that support changed my life, just to have someone believe in me and see what I couldn't see in myself. She said, I just wanted to kind of touch base with you. I want to let you know where you're at in class. And I really, inside myself, I knew she was going to tell me, you know, this is a waste of your time. Instead, she told me that I had exceeded any kind of requirements to get a 4.0, and I was doing fantastic. And just her telling me that, from then on, it changed my story. I did great. I was there for just a couple quarters, and I actually got published as a writer in a fitness magazine. And then I ended up graduating with an AA degree with honors and a full scholarship to the University of Washington. And there was resources available to me through scholarships, through financial aid, through grants. I was able to finish school, finish a 4-year degree while raising 3 children. I got a degree in journalism. What I want to do is eliminate what I had to go through and let women know that, hey, there's WISH if you want to be a better partner to your husband, if you want to be a better parent to your children, or if you just want to connect with other women. WISH is not about empowering women so we can be better than men. No, it's about empowering ourselves so we can have better relationships with men and better relationships with our children and our parents, and pursue our goals, become everything that we've ever thought about being. I transformed and I became this person that I am today, and I never ever thought that I could. That's why I care, because every woman has that ability to do this. Every single woman. And I think that there's so much self-imposed restrictions that we put on ourselves. And we can rise above anything and create anything we want in our life and live happy, healthy lives.